Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into a topic that's tangled up in a lot of myths and really strong opinions, especially now with cannabis legalization spreading everywhere. We're talking about weed addiction, or what's clinically known as cannabis use disorder, CUD.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic.
Our mission here is to really try and understand it. Is it a myth? Just a minor thing? Or, is it this varied challenge that affects a lot of people differently? We want to figure out why it doesn't hit everyone, what it actually does to your mind and body, who might be more susceptible, and why empathy is so crucial here. Oh, and before we get deeper, if you're looking for more mind-expanding stuff like this, definitely check out Mind Expansion Daily. We share some amazing info that really helps cut through the noise.
Good stuff over there.
Yeah. And while you're visiting, please like and subscribe to Mind Expansion Daily. It helps us reach more curious minds like yours. And hey, if you really like what we do, maybe consider buying us a coffee. The link's right down there in the description.
That's right. And think of this as, well, your shortcut to getting properly informed. We've gone through the science, the global perspectives from our sources, all to give you clear insights without, grounding you in data.
Just the important stuff.
Exactly. What you really need to know.
And as we unpack all this, we really want to hear from you. Do you agree with our take? Disagree? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, definitely share your thoughts.
And also, tell us where you're listening from. We're trying to expand this conversation worldwide and are honestly just fascinated to see where everyone is tuning in from. Okay, so let's unpack this. First off, this big idea that cannabis is totally non-addictive. It's a common belief, sure, especially now.
It really is.
But the clinical reality, CUD, it sort of challenges that straight away. It's a real diagnosis. That's our starting point.
Yeah, and it's important to look at the numbers, especially now in 2025.
Yeah.
You've got legalization expanding in places like Germany, Uruguay. Over 55 million adults in the U.S. say they currently use it.
Wow, 55 million.
It's a lot. And the CDC data suggests that CUD affects roughly 3 out of every 10 regular users. That's significant. And for younger people, 18 to 25-year-olds, it's even more pronounced. A 2024 JMA Network Open report found about 1 in 6, so like 16.6% in that age group are dealing with CUD.
1 in 6, okay.
So yeah, it shows that for a big chunk of young adults, this idea that it's universally harmless just doesn't hold up.
That really sets the stage, doesn't it? It's clearly not something everyone who uses cannabis gets, but it's definitely not a myth either. It's complicated.
It's nuanced.
Now, about that non-addictive myth, it really hangs around. I mean, okay, its dependency rate, maybe around 30%, is lower than nicotine's 32% or heroin's 23%.
True.
But 30% is still pretty substantial, right? And this whole misconception, it seems to partly come from some older research back in the 80s.
Yeah, some of the earlier stuff maybe downplayed the risks a bit or didn't capture the full picture we see now with higher potency products and more widespread use.
Yeah. And there's this other angle, the idea that addiction is, just psychological, lack of willpower.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge fallacy.
Okay.
Especially with CUD. We're talking real cravings, bodybuilding tolerance, needing more to get the same effect, and actual physical withdrawal symptoms. It's not just in your head.
Right. It physically affects the brain.
Absolutely.
Which leads straight to that other assumption people make. Oh, anyone can just quit whenever they want. That's often not the case for someone really struggling, is it?
No, not at all. That's a massive hurdle. When someone with significant dependency tries to stop, they can get hit with irritability, serious insomnia, anxiety, and these things can last for weeks.
Weeks. Wow.
Yeah. We saw an APA report from 2023 saying this affects nearly half, like 47% of heavy users. And what makes it worse is the stigma.
Ah, the stigma.
Right. About half of the people affected don't even seek treatment because they feel ashamed. It's heartbreaking. You even see it online. Like there was this X post recently with 15,000 likes debating if weed is harmless.
Still, it just shows how this misinformation persists and actively stops people from getting help.
So connecting the dots here, experiences with cannabis and potential issues like CUD, they really vary wildly, not just person to person, but across different places too.
Exactly. It's a whole spectrum. On one side, you've got loads of people using it without problems, like a 2024 NED study showed 42% of 19 to 30-year-olds in the Netherlands use it casually, no dependency.
Okay.
And you see personal stories, like a 2023 X thread from Brazil, 8,000 likes, someone saying, "I've smoked for years, no trouble, it's all about balance." For many, it stays recreational.
But then there's the other side of that coin, people who really do struggle, where it impacts their lives negatively.
Precisely. You read things like that 2024 forum post from South Africa.
Mm.
Started socially, now it's ruining my work. That really hits home, the personal cost.
Yeah.
And experts point this out too. About 9% of all users develop CUD, but that jumps to 16%, almost double, if they start before 18.
Before 18. Okay. That early start makes a difference. Huge difference. And culture plays a role. In Morocco, maybe it's hidden, 65% hide their use. But in Uruguay, where it's legal, 45% say it's casual, but you still have 6% seeking treatment for CUD.
Interesting contrast.
Yeah. And a Latin American ex post, 10,000 likes, really nailed it, saying we need tailored approaches, not just blanket judgments.
Okay, so let's dig into the mental side a bit more because the psychological effects can be pretty significant for some folks. This feels really key.
It absolutely is. Chronic use literally changes how your brain's reward system works.
Yeah.
You know, the network that gives you pleasure and motivation.
Mm.
Cannabis basically floods it with dopamine, gives you that high. But over time, the brain starts relying on that outside boost.
Yay.
It makes it harder to feel good from normal stuff. And that builds dependency.
Oh.
And psychologically,
Yeah,
that can show up as more anxiety, maybe in 20% of users, paranoia, depression, major irritability, especially during withdrawal. Remember that 2023 APA study?
Huh.
Half of heavy users felt that irritability withdrawing.
And it's not just mood swings in the moment, right? There are worries about longer-term thinking, cognition.
That's a really important point, yes. Long-term use can lead to that brain fog people describe. Reduced motivation affects maybe 30% of users. It can even make things like PTSD worse.
Mm.
We're seeing data like a 2024 EMCDDA report linking daily use to a 20% higher risk for anxiety and depression. And for young people, it's really concerning for learning and memory.
Yeah, the developing brain.
Exactly. A 2022 study in Latin America found 15% of chronic teen users there developed lasting cognitive issues. It's serious. Someone on X from Kenya put it starkly, 12,000 likes. Weed eased my stress, but triggered paranoia. It's not all safe.
Wow, that sums up the double-edged sword aspect. Okay, that covers the mind quite a bit, but the body feels it too, right?
Yeah.
Let's switch gears to the physiological side of CUD. What's actually happening physically?
Right. The physical side is critical. THC, the main active compound, basically messes with the brain's natural communication. It binds to these cannabinoid receptors, kind of like a key fitting into locks it wasn't meant for. This disrupts chemicals like dopamine. Your brain gets this sort of fake pleasure signal, and eventually it dials down its own natural production of those feel-good chemicals. That's how tolerance builds.
So you need more for the same effect.
Exactly. And when someone tries to stop, that's when the physical withdrawal kicks in, hard headaches, nausea, things like that. Affects maybe 40% of heavy users.
And looking beyond withdrawal, what about longer-term physical health risks from chronic use?
Well, this is where it gets pretty serious for overall health. Our sources point to some significant long-term risks. For instance, using high-potency cannabis. That's linked to a 40% higher risk of psychosis.
40%, that's high.
It is. Respiratory problems are common too, affecting maybe half of smokers. Think chronic bronchitis rates like 2 to 3 times higher, according to a 2024 WebMD report.
Makes sense if you're smoking it.
Yeah. And then there are cardiovascular risks. Daily users have maybe 20% higher odds of heart disease. Plus, a 2024 Cleveland Clinic piece mentioned about 30% of CED users might develop other mental disorders alongside it.
So it's a cluster of potential issues.
It can be. Again, not for everyone, but for the millions dealing with CUD, these risks are definitely part of the picture.
Okay, so given all this variation, different experiences, different impacts, the big question becomes, why? Why do some people develop CUD and others don't seem to? What makes one person vulnerable?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer is, it's super individual. It's almost never just one thing. Research keeps pointing to a mix of factors.
Like what kind of factors?
Well, first up, genetics. They play a massive role. Studies, like one in Nature from 2022, suggest maybe 50 to 70% of the risk for CUD could be inherited.
Wow, that much.
Yeah. Then there's early use, starting before age 18. Your risk shoots up about 1 in 6 develop CDD, according to the CDC in 2023.
We mentioned that earlier, yeah.
Frequency and potency are key too. Daily use, especially the really strong stuff, high THC cannabis, that can raise dependency risk by about 25%. And don't forget environment, peer pressure, family history of substance use. About half of CUD cases seem linked to using tobacco or alcohol early on.
Right, other substance use.
And finally, mental health. Having something like depression can basically double your risk of developing CUD, according to a 2025 GMA report.
So it's this complex web, genetics, age, how much, how strong, environment, mental health.
Exactly. It all interacts.
It really paints a picture. You mentioned that ex-post from Nigeria earlier. Weed calmed my nerves initially, but now it's a dependency. That kind of captures it, doesn't it, that journey?
It perfectly illustrates how these factors can play out in a real person's life. It's multifaceted, just like that 2020 Watch U study said about addiction in general.
Okay, so recognizing you might have a problem is one step. But actually getting help, that sounds like a whole other challenge. Let's talk about that silence, the stigma, and finding support.
Yeah, this is a huge barrier. The numbers are pretty stark. A 2025 study found only about 13% of people with CUD actually sought help back in 2019.
Only 13%. Why so low?
Stigma, mostly. People feel ashamed, judged. But we need to remember, CUD affects around 7% of U.S. adults, similar rates in Europe. We're talking millions. They need understanding, not judgment. Empathy is just essential.
Absolutely. So if someone does find the courage, what kind of help is actually out there? What works?
Well, the good news is there are effective treatments, things like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Studies show it can reduce symptoms for about half of patients. That's pretty good.
CBT.
The conversation is shifting, slowly. That ex-post from Uruguay we mentioned, the one with 15,000 likes calling for destigmatization, that shows a growing public push for more supportive, open environments.
That's hopeful. Okay, let's zoom out one last time. What does all this mean for the bigger picture, for society?
Well, the fact that CED is rising, especially with that 16.6% rate in young adults, it's a clear signal. Society needs to address this proactively. It's a growing global challenge.
And legalization, how does that fit in? Is it making things worse? Or could it be part of the solution somehow?
That's the tricky part, isn't it? Our sources show legalization in the U.S., Germany, etc. Yeah, it's boosted use by maybe 10%. That's expected. But there's a massive opportunity here. The same research suggests good targeted education could actually reduce CUD by up to 20%.
Education as prevention.
Exactly. And globally. If we could just shift from stigma to empathy, imagine helping potentially 45 million users worldwide. That could save maybe $1 billion in healthcare costs, too.
Wow.
Yeah. That ex-post from South Africa, 18,000 likes, urging balanced discussion. It just underscores how vital this more nuanced, supportive approach is becoming.
So to kind of wrap up our deep dive today, what we found is that CUD, weed addiction, it's definitely real. It's a complex challenge for, what, about 3 in 10 regular users?
Roughly, yeah.
It's not hitting everyone. The experience varies hugely, but it's driven by real psychological dependence and actual physical changes in the brain.
And the short version of why it varies. It's that mix, genes, starting young, how often and how strong the product is, your environment, and your mental health, all playing together.
And maybe the biggest takeaway for everyone listening, the absolute need for empathy and support. Breaking down that stigma that stops half the people who need help from even asking for it.
Definitely. Which leaves us with a final thought for you to mull over.
Okay.
In this world where cannabis is becoming more legal, more accessible, how do we actually foster responsible use? How do we create supportive environments, especially for those who are most vulnerable to developing a problem?
That's a really important question to sit with. We hope this deep dive gave you a clearer, maybe more nuanced view of cannabis use disorder. And remember, find more insights like this at Mind Expansion Daily. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you found this valuable, maybe buy us that coffee link in the description.
We appreciate it.
We do. And we love hearing from you. Leave a comment, agree, disagree, tell us where you're listening from. Let's keep this global conversation going. And speaking of related topics, make sure you check out our next deep dive. We'll be looking into alcohol addiction risks. Continue your journey of informed understanding with us then.